a unicorn. Unicorn!
Hello and welcome to Ask a Unicorn. I'm your host, Ciara O'Mara, and this is brought to you by the Unicorn Union. In this podcast, I'll ask creatives that are mothers about how they balance their creativity with work and family. What fuels it? What tips, hacks and advice they have for fellow parents that might help. Join me in hearing their magic. Hello, listeners. Welcome. This week, I am interviewing the amazing Alice Cuffe. She is a head of content at Social Element. And like many of us, her career has been a bit squiggly. Starting out in fashion before moving on to a news desk and then into social media advertising, which is where she has remained for the past 10 years. Alice now lives in Belfast with her 3.5-year-old daughter, and her husband also lives there with her. So welcome, Alice, to Ask a Unicorn.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome. It's brilliant to have you. So before we get into all our lovely questions, you might have heard from previous interviews, we're going to kick off with having a bit of fun. We're going to find out what your unicorn name is so we can christen you.
Love it.
So I asked you 3 things to find out your unicorn name. What is your favourite food, place and thing to do? And we'll see what it comes back with.
Because like a classic copywriter, I've written like a proper thing as usual. Favourite food? Oh God, because it was all the 80s stuff. I'd say Black Forest Gatto.
Oh, Black Forest Gatto. I love Black Forest Gatto, actually.
I honestly would live in the 80s at a dinner party. That would be for me forever. I'd be so happy.
So right, that's a favourite food. Strong. Yep. I love that. Place?
In the sea. It doesn't matter where it is.
Sea anywhere. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Hot cooks, whatever. Yeah, love it. And then thing to do. This was a hard one. Sing. You'll drag me hard out of a karaoke room. Like it would be difficult. Oh, I love it. Fantastic. I'm going to put in singing karaoke because I feel like that might even bring back some more interesting answers.
I have a very funny story of karaoke with another fellow unicorn, which caused a lot of trouble, but we'll keep that off.
Oh, I'm intrigued. I want to be involved in the next story, please. I've been trying to organise meetups for the group, and I feel like now I'm getting insight that maybe I need to organise a karaoke night.
There are people that would definitely be there, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, right. Let's see what brings back. Okay, here we go. The first one is not creative, hence AI is never taking our jobs. But the Gatto enthusiast. So Alice, the Gatto enthusiast. I do like the next one's quite interesting. The sea witch aesthetic.
Yes, take it.
Or the karaoke queen. Again, that's not very creative. I feel like I can ask it for 3 more. Give me 3 more funnier ones. Please, come on, AI. Oh, these are funnier, actually. Okay, great. So, first one, the literal horn cuff phenomenon.
Yes, in it.
The karaoke tragedy, horn not hands, and the great seagull misunderstanding.
Definitely number 1. Definitely.
The literal horn cuff. That's funny for Alice Cuffe, actually.
Yeah.
The literal horn cuff phenomenon. Okay, and you have been christened, Alice.
Changing my name on LinkedIn immediately.
Yeah. All right. Well, on we go to some, maybe potentially more serious questions. Question I've asked all the guests because I think as mothers, we're talking in the evening time. It takes a lot to get to anything as a parent.
Yeah.
So what has it taken for you to get through today to get to me this evening so we can have this chat?
I literally had to leave the country. I'm back in England at the moment, so that's the only reason it was free, I'd say. Otherwise, I would still be being screamed at, probably, without a doubt. It's very quiet now. So I'm at my parents' house at the moment in Surrey, so it's very easy to get back to London. But it's, I dot around friends and things like that when I pop back again.
Oh, lovely. All right. So that's good. So yeah, when you're in Belfast, if you were back in Belfast, the kids would be screaming, but you're in Surrey at your parents. So that's nice.
It's like an innate sense they have, isn't it? That you're doing something, whether it's even sending one tiny text message to somebody at the end of a deck that you need sorted, they'll know and they'll be running downstairs without, she'll know always, even if it's bedtime. I'm like,
Yeah, it's true. It is. But so that's lovely. At least you're having a nice zen evening with your parent versus the madness of home. But yeah, a bit more about you as a creative. So let's get into it. So we kind of give a little bit of, I suppose, a hint maybe, but are you an art director, copywriter, hybrid for the listeners?
It's a bit of a hybrid. I think probably I would say classically a copywriter. I think everything I do is back into that side of things. But I've always worked in social. So you kind of bounce around a lot of different spaces depending on what's going on in social, really. It's allowed me to go more into like strategy and stuff. But yeah, always a copywriter at heart.
And so like why advertising as a career, right? Because it's a strange old industry. How did you get into it?
Again, like most people, going all over the show, really. I did journalism. I was always I really wanted to go into fashion, did that. Ended up in social in the really, really early days. So it was really, really hard, but really, really fun. Because there weren't really any social platforms and everyone thought social was awful and thought it would never amount to anything. So that was fun. And then slowly sort of meandered and I went back into journalism. I remember being in a bit of a rut and sort of ending up writing a lot about the royals and things like this. And you're like, that's fine for certain people. But I wanted to be creative. And it was actually attributed to my school friend, John. He kind of got me to look into advertising basically and kind of look at a role that I would never even gone into. And I think it's probably something that, many people talk about in terms of imposter syndrome that, oh God, I couldn't go into that. Like, I don't know anything about advertising. Sort of the predisposed notion of what it was is it felt like an area so far away from me. And actually at the time where I went in and I started off in We Are Social, it was so editorial and it kind of completely shifted everything for me. And clearly I was always like, I'll go in for a year, see how it goes, learn loads of stuff, take it back into shares. And I've been here for 10 years. So clearly something's clicked and I quite enjoy it. So
that's fabulous. The idea of a social agency is like that, got that editorial newsroom vibe as well.
It ebbs and flows completely. I think actually where we are now is probably where I was when I came into it in the first place. So I feel very comfortable as where social is sitting at the moment, which is quite nice.
Yeah, everything is on the go constantly. That kind of rush.
Yeah. Although I will admit, and I think this is good to say for people who are thinking, can you go into... I had no idea what a deck was on day one because I came from a news desk and my first piece of copy, I think I wrote 200 words and they wanted 4. So, it was a learning process.
Yeah, the long form to the short form thing. Yeah.
I'd gone from writing 8 articles a day, just banging out features, and someone, asked for 4 pieces of copy. I'm like, brilliant, done. And they're like, Jesus, that's too much. You've written like a magnum opus on everything that could have ever been said about a client. Yeah. I'm like, stop.
Well, I mean, it's also like that's an amazing skill too at it, but it's just like the different industries and what they expect, isn't it? So yeah, so you got into it through like being at like journalism, then you were saying fashion and stuff. We kind of got a little bit of that in your bio. And so did you study journalism at college, uni then?
Yeah. So I did, I did a master's and did my journalism course there and then tagged on a course in fashion journalism as well, much to the hatred of when I left university and they thought I'd failed all of my courses going into fashion because that's how people viewed it. But it was brilliant and it was completely mad. And it was real startup territory time, in fashion. So I had a lot of fun. But my God, I couldn't do it now.
I love it. That's great. Well, yeah, so kind of a little bit about the work you've made, I suppose, then since you got into advertising. So tell us a bit about one project that you're particularly proud of that shows off your unicorn magic.
So much of stuff I was really proud of, no one will see because it's like the backbone of so much work that goes into like the creative teams and where we go out from there. So in terms of content strategy and copywriting, working on the global strategy for TikTok was so much fun and so challenging. And we basically had started off just using the UK and then we had merged it from interest to take it to the whole global strategic positioning. And that was great fun. In terms of proud, we did this was years ago now, a piece for Spa, the shop, which is, seemingly really innocuous, around championing like local heroes. And honestly, the team I worked with were incredible. Kevin, Tom, the creatives were just brilliant. And, it is really heartwarming because often you're right, you're doing work and you're like, this is great and it's really, really fun, but it doesn't feel like particularly real and tangible to the people you're going to. And when, we were meeting these people and it was just, it was lovely. Loved it. And I will always think about that one.
Wow, TikTok. Well, that's, no mean feat doing the whole strategy for TikTok. Oh, just a small brand that we might know. I mean, particularly as an Irish person, Spar is massive in Ireland. So I'm a big fan of Spar. It's not as big in the
That,
UK.
yeah, my Irish holiday here, like roots, have reminded me of Spa, and I got very excited about it. And like, probably people won't know in England that Spa is really good, like really good in Ireland, isn't it?
Really good, yeah.
It's a really good shop.
Yeah, lovely. That's great. Well, I'll put it like a link to Alice's portfolio in the podcast so people can see your work and check it out. So let's talk a little bit about you as a mom, because we want to kind of find out a bit more about your structure. Yeah, what's the usual kind of structure for you?
So I mean, I was about to say, really annoying. I was going to say I'm really lucky. No, we just have a really good, solid arrangement of how we work. I mean, my husband and I do completely different jobs. I think we can moan about the same things when it comes to people, but he's very like hands-on in his job, and I sit at the computer or walk around scribbling things, and I think really becoming a mum kind of changed the entire setup of our entire life, because it really prompted us to want to move out of the place we were in London. So it's shaped everything creatively, working, life, in terms of mostly, I mean, I'm not the pick up, drop off person at the moment, because I have a very varied life in terms of where I am and what I'm doing and working from home. So, I mean, to all intents and purposes, traditional setting, you'd say we'd really swapped roles, how people always view it. I think sometimes they're very surprised when they see me at the school dropping off my daughter, which I think is great, because she's always saying, oh, she's very proud of what I'm doing, which is interesting. It's certainly a shift from when we first had our daughter, where we were both living in London, both working out, 4 or 5 days a week. And now we have a kind of really fluid system in which our home life is where we all come together, but there's no pattern really.
And so does that mean, so you work from home a lot, and then your husband, does he work at home from home at all, or is he?
He works out every single day. So yeah.
Oh, and does he do like the pick up and drop offs, like you were saying, every day as well?
Pretty much. I mean, I will go, if I can go, I will always go. But if I can't, then I feel very lucky that time that I can just be head down.
100%. But that's the thing about, 3:30 finishing school, people aren't finished work. So it's really inherently hard to fit that in. Yeah, I mean, you've got to make it work. And if one parent can be more flexible, that makes more sense, right? Isn't it? So you moved out of London, you moved to Belfast, I'm guessing from our lovely intro, your bio.
It's my husband's family. But they're not too far away from us. They can be really involved. So, I mean, I probably would be nothing without my sister-in-law. She's incredible. So it was very interesting for me. I thought I had a really solid support base in England, and trying to redefine that when you do move or make a different decision that isn't your go-to. I'm pretty lucky that I've managed to, not quite replicate it, but find a system that works, that I have support, not just for my daughter in terms of what we need, but for me as well, being away from 15 years in London. It's a big shift.
That definitely is a big change, isn't it? Yeah.
And
so obviously this evening you're at your parents'. So do you end up traveling a lot? Do you like have to go back and forth to the UK much?
The agency I am at the moment is a remote first agency, and that has a huge bearing on the amount of mothers who work there. I mean, pretty much our entire senior leadership team is female and a mother mostly, which is quite incredible. So the expectation to be in all the time is not there, and that has been, a massive help in terms of creating a new life and system and way of working, because I was very used to the 5 days a week in the agency, war room till whatever time in the morning kind of way of life. And actually redefining my way of working and being a mum, that's been the hardest bit, without a doubt, in terms of reshaping that hugely.
I think that's really interesting. We kind of touching on a little bit, but just to be more exact, I suppose, for listeners, is like, so where were you at in your career when you first had your daughter? Whereabouts?
So I had been I'd been in agency for about 7 years, and then had just made a move to start the sister agency, and was getting that up and running with a team of people. In my head, I think, like so many people, the choice and the plan you've made for yourself of when you were, going to be a mum or start a family wasn't quite exactly the plan that I'd written down. It was not what happened. We're a few years out of the timeline of, where I had to put it. In that sense, it was a complete big log in terms of my journey, into like a huge gate in front of me. But I was so happy, I think, because I'd kind of running these 2 jobs almost concurrently, of like wanting to be a mum and also wanting to do much better and kind of become more senior in my role, which probably took me a bit longer than most people because of all the shifts. I didn't have that confidence, I think, to assert that I could do as much as I was able to and put myself in that position. But yeah, it was despite the years of wanting it, you're still really shocked. And you're like, oh God, right, what now? I'm like, oh, my job's over. This is it. I'm never going to work again, and all these like worries that go into your head. There was no right time. I'm appalling at kind of setting those guidelines for myself. I just sort of go and then go, oh crap.
Yeah. But like you said, there's never a right time, is there? In an ideal world, you could plan getting pregnant, but it's not as straightforward when you get around to it. But yeah, so you were basically at agency for 7 years, trying to do their sister agency. So was there inherent that kind of pressure to make a thing of the sister agency? Was that?
I was really terrified of going because I think we were in a position where it's a bit like when you try and take a couple of days off, and trying to write that handover is harder than taking a year off. It was that sort of system where there was always so many things coming in, and we had those big clients coming into our very small team. So it was really hands-on, which I loved. Essentially, the whole point of it was to remove all the layers of, sign-offs and things like that hold up big projects, to be really, really agile. But in being really agile, everyone is very, very busy. So it was quite terrifying. And I remember kind of telling my manager at the time, and I think the problem was it wasn't work that was causing me anxiety. I was just really anxious, and I had terrible kind of prenatal anxiety, which sort of put a massive spanner in even being able to perform in my work, and sort of having to really not try and just push through and properly like take a step back and go, okay, right, what am I doing here? Because I think I just let everything kind of go, and I was forced to stop for a bit and go, okay, this is something, and then rebuild up my confidence, luckily, before I went on maternity leave, which was brilliant.
Yeah, like, that thing with all the hormones that come, it can kind of change our bodies in different ways, but even having that anxiety and, even like the people are going through that, trying to get pregnant, stay pregnant, all that kind of thing of worrying about this baby, and you still have to perform at work. It's a stressful thing. So I can empathize with them.
And not speaking out, I think, is probably the worst thing you can do, because ultimately, if you haven't told anyone you're pregnant and you're just sort of flailing like this fish on the side being like, oh, and they think, what the hell is wrong, And I mean, now I am like, all the words come out if I've got anything going on, you kind of have to. But then I was really kind of guarded and secretive, and that did not work at all. That didn't help in getting through this, and actually opening up and speaking to the team was so much easier.
It's so hard though in the first 12 weeks, isn't it? You're not able to technically tell anyone, and this inherently the hardest time in pregnancy, and that only starts and stuff. But I suppose, the next question I was kind of ask was, and we'll touch on that a bit. So did you think having kids would alter your career?
Personally, I think I'm one of those people that looks at everyone else as a grown up, and realizing that I'm mid-30s being pregnant. And I mean, for London, that's like a teen mum still, but everywhere else, it's a very sensible age. Yeah, purely just sort of, I don't know if it's denial or, again, it's that imposter syndrome thing of not assuming that you can do something and that it will be okay. And that was terrifying, because I was like, oh God, how will I do all my work? That was it. That was such a massive part of it. When it came to it, didn't matter at all.
And so you were kind of the fear of like, I'm busy enough now. How do I fit a kid into that equation? And did you have any nervousness about telling work or anything?
No, I'm lucky because I was there for a long time, and everyone by that point. And I think the feeling of security is a little bit more embedded in terms of what's going to happen. And also I did feel really safe with the manager I had, and I did feel really supported, even though I'd say it was a high pressure department and high pressure agency. It was still, we had a lot of people who were supported, and you knew it had happened like before, obviously.
That's really good to hear, actually. So when it came to the moment of like heading off maternity leave, how did you find going off on it?
Again, the worry of that handover and giving enough information for every project I was taking on at the time was a huge part of it. But ultimately, when it came down to it, I got really, really sick. I essentially disappeared. So most people didn't even know I was pregnant or where I'd gone, and just thought I'd left, because I just disappeared. And I tried to write a handover in my hospital bed, I remember, and just nothing was ready, like at home or at work. So, you have that idea in your head that everything's going to be sorted, and you'll have a little going away thing, and, you'll have to say goodbye and you'll wrap everything up. And that just did not happen at all. Huge feeling of letting people down, which was quickly assuaged by them coming to me and saying, it's absolutely fine. Obviously, like, we just want to make sure you're okay, because nobody knew where I'd gone. That was, kind of funny in its own way. But yeah, when I came back and they're like, you had a baby? I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I had a baby. Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't just disappear.
So you were obviously quite unwell for a while, Alice, then and then you were off, and then you had the whole maternity leave. And how did you find maternity leave? Did your health improve? Was everything okay?
It was pre-eclampsia. So as soon as I had my daughter Fia, she was very tiny, but we were fine. I think about, I did, thought a lot about different countries where people have to go back so much earlier, and I just don't know how people do it. I think the seismic shift of that new reality was just so insane for me. And I was really grateful again that I could take so much time off. I took a year off, which is not a given by any means, which allowed me to kind of get back to myself. And by that point, I could really enjoy maternity leave, but also was really excited about going back and getting my teeth into something again, even though it felt like I didn't even know the alphabet at that point, going back to work. And it's like, oh God, what's a door? I don't know. Really, I was really excited as well, and just sort of being part of that again.
That's amazing that they had excitement to go back to work. I love that you went from like 800 to 200 words. Now I don't know if I even get 4 out.
Yeah, honestly, I'm like, what's my name? I don't know.
I know, yeah. Like, how do I use a computer? Yeah, but now, because the next question was whether you had what was your biggest fear and excitement about going back to work. But so you had major excitement to go back, to get stuck into it, use your brain again, something you're inherently passionate about. And did you have any fear?
Pretty much 90% of that excitement was the anxiety of having to prove myself again. And despite wanting to be in it, you're like, I am still relevant. I can still do this. Like, yes, I've been away, but I know everything that's going on. And you're almost like probably every other person that's gone back into a creative role. You are given this guideline of what it'll be like to go back. And then day one, you're like, maybe day 3, you're on a pitch or on a massive campaign. And without fail, that will happen. And that sort of baptism of fire again. You're like, okay, we're doing this again. Here we are. All the little steps take a long time to get back into that mindset of I can run this, but being able to just go, oh yes, I'm going to in a project where my brain is important and sort of like cogs whirring again. You're like, yeah, this is great. So that was really fun. Yeah. Although that's not to totally set like the guilt of being away in those first weeks, particularly, were really, really hard. And I was in a really varied group of women at that time who were all on mat leave at different times. And some was so excited to go back to work and desperate. And I was so happy for them as well. They didn't feel that guilt. I think we all had different things. And it was really nice to be able to talk about it because we will all go back into fast paced, largely creative careers. And it was nice to be able to just see the differences of not what you were supposed to feel, but what people did feel. We were all in that same boat together.
That's really nice. Again, what you touched on about being able to use your brain again in a different way, because being at maternity leave, your brain is in a different zone, and sometimes those baby classes are not very good for your brain. And to get back into a creative partner. Yeah, also, I think it's just because you're a mother doesn't mean you lose the other part of yourself, which is your creative self, isn't it? Like, great that you had other people around that were all getting pregnant at the same time. That's nice, isn't it? Because you kind of like all going through together.
Well, none of them I knew before. We just, I think one person I had worked with, in the agency together, but we all kind of just found each other and sort of grouped together from different like NCT groups or just like friends. And oh my God, I was like an absolute savior. It was almost a bit kind of doing a bit of a unicorn union for ourselves, but with our babies and sometimes with a pint, we went, like working things out for ourselves. And some of them were already taken on projects and you're like, oh my God. But yeah, it was really, really great.
Yeah, that's so great though. It is lovely to hear. It's kind of almost like, the mini unicorn union, that you had a little group of people that kind of understood.
Yeah, because when I found this group, I was like, oh my God, yes, thank you.
I'm so glad. It's amazing to think how much has grown in the 3 years. I think it's wild.
For me, creatively, I think that's where I've got the most from it. It's not even the parent side of things. Sometimes it's looking at them and how their careers have shifted and the conversations that we have on pivoting and changing roles and where people are at in different stages. Because you almost think, God, I'm going to get to this age and I'll be completely irrelevant, or I'll never know what people are wanting. They always want a 20-year-old. And luckily, I do think that's changing in social and in advertising in general, just because of how we, market to people. But it's so nice to see those women and kind of what they're up to, almost as like, not just a guideline, but kind of inspiration of, oh yeah, I could try that.
Exactly. And I've done amazing work in their careers. That's the thing, is like, just for listeners, that like people share in the group some of their portfolios, don't they, Alice? I really encourage, if the people are passionate about campaigns they have. Actually, this week has been quite interesting. We've had a conversation about squiggly careers. Some people have talked about it, and yeah, it's fit in multiple careers. You're already doing it already. I feel like I need to squeeze in another one myself.
Oh, I know.
It's so great though, because the thing is, it just shows that creativity is transferable in so many ways, right?
It is, yeah. It's like forcing yourself as well. I've never gone into a role going, I'm going to nail this. It's always been, let's give this a go. I want to do this. I will try. But in doing so, I've got to force myself into so many into different places that have been really tricky, but I've learnt loads so quickly. You know, it's worked out, so that's good.
Yeah, it definitely has. But that's so great that's a real, like, just throw yourself into the deep end. Obviously, you swam on every occasion, which is fab. Right, okay, that's a little bit about career-wise and stuff, but I was going to go back to a little bit of practicalities. We talked about a little bit about structure. I was kind of saying, and I think we all know it takes a village to raise a child. It's a lot. And you were calling out like your husband and your sister-in-law there as well. Yeah, so what is like a normal day for Alice getting to work and that kind of thing of getting your little daughter out, etc.?
My life now is a lot more kind of centred on our immediate family than it probably was before. And it's actually been it is really, really nice. And we get up together. We all have breakfast. I'll either take my daughter to nursery if we walk, because unfortunately, being in Ireland, you'll know this, I don't drive. And that's really problematic because it's just roads. Hence why my husband usually does it, because what I'll quite often do is get in the car with them, take her in, and then I'll walk home. So I get a bit of a walk in the morning, and it's quite nice. I can either like make some phone calls, just listen to a podcast before I like get head down and then work through. And every single day, if I'm working, my daughter will just come through and be like, Mummy, you finished? And then try and close the laptop. And then that's my day done. And then, like every other mother probably, I'll put her to bed at about 7:30, and I will pretty much always go and do some work.
Yeah, but then I suppose you have the flexibility in being able to work from home and stuff. So it sometimes blurs the lines, doesn't it, a little bit?
Hugely. And I did it when I was in an office. That was the thing. And I think before I had children, I would always be late in the office if I just wanted to get quiet and get something done and get my thoughts in the right place for a project. But now I'm doing it at home. So yeah, that line is very blurred.
But it's really hard, isn't it? I think as a creative, like your brains don't really shut off from an idea. So that's why inherently it's such a different kind of job. But when you're conceptually thinking about and solving problems or writing scripts and thinking to that thing, your brain doesn't really stop. It lives in your brain until it's finished, basically, and sometimes after.
And it's always the worst places, you're about to get in the shower, you're like, that's the idea. Right, quickly write it down, like middle of the night. And I'm like, my husband's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I've just got really. And my husband's a mechanical plumber. Like, this is like big buildings. He cannot come home and do that. Our house would look insane. But yet I can be in the car driving somewhere and I'd be like, and he's like, get off, stop it. But your brain doesn't shut off. It doesn't. You don't stop thinking about it. You're like, oh, that's a really good idea. So it was worse when I was writing long form as well. I would stop in the middle of like walking on a road, just stop. So dangerous. And I'd never get anywhere on time, much to the hatred of all my friends. I would always just be like writing notes on different things.
Fascinating. Well, yeah, so we talked a little bit just about childcare setups. Obviously, your daughter goes to creche, and if you feel comfortable sharing, I think there's some things that people just don't tell you before you become a parent about the costs of it, and therefore then knowing the kind of salaries you need to be on, etc. So it'd be interesting, obviously, because you're in Northern Ireland. So
I mean, it's it's lower, definitely, compared to what we were looking at in London. In London, we had 4 days a week, and that was costing us about 1,850 for a full day in nursery when she was younger. Now we do. I pay for 5 days, but I only use 4 pretty much every week, unless I'm away. But it was cheaper to do it that way, and it works out with tax-free childcare, and we don't get 30 hours in Northern Ireland, but you do get a different subsidy. So it's about 1,100 now, which is a massive difference.
Yeah, that's a lot, isn't it? Like, but for some people, it's another mortgage, isn't it?
It definitely affects thinking about whether you make your family bigger as well. It's like your campaign later. Like, I'll do this one now, and then we'll get more budget. We'll do that one.
I like that. That's really good. It's like a content calendar
for my family.
I think that's the thing is, it does actually put a lot of pressure on a woman to know what you need to earn to go back to justify going back and having a career. So that's why I think it's really important to talk about, because otherwise, there's inherently this thing like, why are women falling out of the industry? And a lot of that could be to do, there's pay gaps, there's problems like that. So knowing that, right, I need to fight for my fight for the salary because if I come back, I'm going to be down 1850, you know, whatever. If you're splitting that 50-50, depends. I'm going to be down that every month. So what am I getting after that to justify me back while I could just stay at home and, you know, not work anymore, but something to do?
Also feel confident that it was still worth going back to work, and having the burden of having to decide whether you're worth going back to work, I think is a really hard conversation to have. Like, that's really difficult. You know, you look at roles that come up, you know, you think, oh, that's wonderful, but financially just not feasible.
Yeah, exactly. So I was there, one of the questions I asked everyone is about flexibility and work, but you obviously have kind of touched on that, you know, at your role at Social Element. It is completely flexible.
For the creative team, I think we're the only one that kind of meet up, just because for us, it's so much more beneficial. And I think as much as I love working remote and having that, I also love people, and would get sad if I didn't see them in the flesh. So, you know, it does work slightly different when you're in a room together and, you know, pitches, big campaign meetings. It's so much better just to be together. But the flexibility to not have to do that 2-3 days a week is life-changing.
Yeah. Do you think becoming a mother has affected your confidence or sparkle, I should say, as a unicorn?
I think it has made me a lot more confident, because I have definite boundaries and areas in my life that, you know, cannot be left behind. And I was certainly before definitely one of those people like, yep, absolutely. And would continuously take on things that were after hours at the weekend, you know, but it has given me a lot more confidence at work to assert myself and to come up with ideas, you know, and back things, you know, a lot more than I would before, but also become hopefully more of an ally as well. Now, I would definitely look at more of the personal need of my team and making sure that they're okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. It opens up that nurturer thing, or that emotional intelligence. That's why it's very good for leaders, right? All those leaders need these things. Women are fantastic leaders, if you didn't know. So do you think your creativity has changed actually since becoming a mother?
I think it has, because, and again, it's a confidence thing in terms of I wouldn't always be able to assert the ideas that I really thought that were right. Yeah, I think I just have a more confident voice in backing myself in terms of the creative ideas I have. They are really different, and by way of knowing what happens when you're a mother, you have an innate sense of what certain clients need for certain audience groups. So that's definitely helpful, because I think you stay open-minded to everything that's going on in every generation and what every audience is wanting and how they respond, you know, particularly on social. But, you know, you are so part of a demographic now. Yeah, it kind of sways your creativity in a way that either you want to lean in really, really hard into that, or for me, like, explore everything else.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, yeah, especially because I suppose, mothers being, I think I say it in the intro of the podcast, you know, they make 85% of the decisions of things we buy, and that's globally, which is a pretty high number. Then realizing when you become a mother, how many different facets there is to motherhood. But before you become one, you think mothers are a certain way. Yeah. So it does kind of like, you go, oh, right, now I'm part of this kind of secret club, but I also know inherently I can do work that appeals to them in this way, this way, this way, this way. So in the whole creativity process, is there anything in particular that you love? What's your favorite part?
That moment when either you get a brief and it's some tiny little part of it that someone hasn't read, and that's where the whole creative idea lives, and you just see it and you're like, oh, yes. And it's so exciting. And it's usually like, if it's a pitch or something, you're like, yeah, we've got it. We've got it. And I remember this also in writing. There's always a moment when it's that circle of creativity, isn't it? Like, this is great, this is shit, this is awful, I'll never live again. Like, oh, this is brilliant. Getting to that final stage where things finally come together, you've usually killed all of the darlings of the slides that you absolutely fell in love with and all the ideas, and you finally get to it where it's really simple. And I just, nothing, like, it feels so good. And I think that's the bit of creativity. You're just like, this is so worth it, you know? And seeing it go live onto someone's feed or a billboard or whatever. Mostly for me, it's a feed. And I think, again, from a more nuanced social perspective, really getting audiences to love what you're doing. I mean, for me, that's just really exciting.
I know. I'm just also, obviously this is going to be audio wise for listeners. I'm watching Alice get so excited, which is lovely to see the buzz of how you find that nugget, that little golden nugget, but then all work going live. It doesn't get old, really.
No.
I think even I have a picture of me in front of my first billboard in Ireland, and it's not a good billboard. And I look back and
Doesn't matter.
I was on like placement or whatever, and I was just so proud of it. But yeah, to the point now when I like see things, I'm like, yeah, like I'm really happy with that, you know. So, but it doesn't get old, and yeah, it is quite an special moment because, like you say, we do lots of work. Like think of all the words that you've written to like get to those like thing that you're going to see out. It's a lot, yeah, that crazy circle. yeah. I love the excitement and like how you still love it so much. That's just like fantastic to see.
Do you know what? It's just really fun. I think it's the same bit of me that gets really excited now, probably too excited when I sit down with my daughter and do like a creative craft project. And you're like, this is quite fun. I've done this. I made that. And in turn, hopefully exciting her.
That's really important though, Alice. You know what I mean? It is like, you being happy and enjoying your job and like, that she sees that, especially as a young girl. That's really important. Next generation. It's so great to like hear excitement because there is a real misconception about when you have kids, you don't really want to like have a career anymore and like, or you're not excited about your job anymore. And inherently you can just really feel that energy from you because it's not true. That's not true. It's like people love what they do. It doesn't matter.
If anything, I've wanted to do better being dogmatic about proving yourself, you know? That part of you, I think for me, of wanting to achieve something for myself doesn't go away. And I don't think that means that you love your family any less or, if anything more because you want to do well and, show what can be done, particularly as a mum, to show what you can do. It's so important as well.
100%, definitely. You kind of talked a little bit about it earlier, but how do you look after you in the midst of it all?
I'm probably not the best at that one. Because I've compartmentalised my working life, I think I've compartmentalised my sort of me of self-care as well, in which I try to do that more. Weirdly, I do that more when I'm here in London because I have downtime and I'm not kind of taking any time out from being with my daughter or anything like that. But I'm trying now, like this has been like a year, like not maybe 8 months, to slowly bring that back over to Ireland as well. So I'm not seeing these two like massively contrasting lives. I think trying to find that time where I'm either like going for a walk or just now and again, I'll just take myself off for a coffee, little things. And as much as I would love to say that I go to the Pilates class that is opposite my house like every single day, I definitely don't. I go as much as I go sometimes, but I look at it a lot.
I mean, that counts. It's like the intention is there.
Yeah.
All right. So is there one thing you wish you knew before becoming a creative mother?
The line that you become really, really good at managing your time as soon as you become a mum and just get things done in the day because you have to. I wish somebody told me that might not be true for everyone because I definitely still struggle with that.
It's not going to go just fine.
Yeah, you're like, it doesn't just like immediately click in. You're like, okay, you actually have to really work at that, which, it's been a long ongoing process.
Yeah, that's honesty, isn't it? If people were just a bit more honest, it would really help.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be all like roses and like you're going to...
They might be really good at it. And I work with loads of mums and they are honestly badasses. Like, I don't know how their brains even do the things that they do. Like mine's, squiggly. That's the creative side, I would say.
Yeah. So the next question, I feel like I know the answer to this because I hear it, I can feel the passion. But like, knowing what you know now, would you still pick this career? But maybe actually interesting, would you still pick advertising because you had fashion and editorial? Would you still pick advertising and particularly social as a career?
Oh, I'd love to be able to do both, but I think I like the immediacy and the fun of social. Like I've got really into that side of things. But I'd love to have like a day a week in which I was just writing lovely articles. I think that's why strategy excites me so much because I just love that bit where you become an expert in something for whether it's a really short period of time or it's for months and months and months because you've got a client. That has transcended from journalism to now. That doesn't change. And that's the bit I love.
Yeah, that makes sense then. Yeah. Writing an article, you'd have to like have all the facts about something, the same with strategy.
Because you'd have to be, an expert on orange trees in Seville before going into like, shoes, working on a lifestyle desk. That was the sort of balance of things that I was going across. Whereas now, I can keep that knowledge and build on it a little bit more.
Do you think there's anything our industry could do more for us, though, as creative mothers?
I mean, in general, needs to be a more flexible approach. And that's not saying that people aren't doing that already. But, in terms of as a whole, the industry gets really scared of changing the way that we work. And we proved that we could, during lockdown times, way back when, we all worked amazingly well. We proved it. I mean, I can't even think about it. Like, I would never work from home beforehand. And even thinking about that mentality, like, is terrifying. I wouldn't be able to do this now. I think you need that short-term flexibility balanced with long-term flexibility as well. And the trust that whoever you're bringing in and how they work, you know, there'll always be nuances to that. You both have to kind of sign up to that, but that the job will get done and it will get done well. And if it is, then there shouldn't be a problem. It blocks certain avenues, I think, because, I mean, you just look at, you know, the changes now. It's like you live a life of remote, hybrid, on-site, and it's too exclusionary, I think, on a long-term basis to have that expectation of people to be in one place all the time. And that goes for everyone, I think, particularly for an aging population where, you know, creatively, we're going to be working for a much longer time. We kind of have to think of that, not just for mothers, but for everyone.
That's so true, actually. It's not just for mothers, it's for everybody, but like as an aging population, to make sure we make all workplaces more accessible. Flexibility is really key. And yeah, COVID, thank God for COVID in some ways. Obviously, it was horrific in a lot of other ways, but like it did show that. And yeah, I totally empathize the fact of it just wasn't really an option not to be in the office before. And I definitely have those memories of now I look back and seeing parents running for trains and now realizing, oh yeah, that was hard. That must have been so hard every day, that kind of rush to pick up and not having the flexibility at all. But yeah, so to end on a very apt thing, so as a unicorn, what would you say your superpower is?
I mean, this will come as no surprise to everything I've said there, is last minute problem solving, I would say. There is nothing that I thrive better in is given you've got 3 minutes to save the world, basically, or, you know, rewrite this entire campaign brief. I'm very still pleased on how quickly I can pivot and kind of problem solve just to get stuff done. And it lends itself to being able to be really agile. And that's probably why I've stayed in social, because things change really, really quickly. And I think if you get really scared of that, you can never get anything done. Right. And also, I don't mind really bad feedback. I think that's probably a good superpower.
Oh my God, all the accounts people were like, oh my God, I want to work with Alice.
Yeah, and I've had a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I get better on real honesty, and I suppose that's like probably a good thing to have in a team.
Amazing. God, they're great superpowers, agility, and excited by challenge as well. Like the way you're like, give it, like solve the world in 3 minutes. Brilliant. Let's go. Well, Alice, it's been an absolute joy to like find out more about you and all your superpowers and just inheriting your magic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me the time and chatting with me. And listeners, thank you for listening. Tune in next time to hear from another one of our fabulous unicorns.
My mum is a unicorn.
I hope you enjoyed listening to a conversation with a real-life unicorn. Please follow us to hear more, and any shares with creatives or mothers would be truly appreciated. Credit to Simone Hendrick for our logo design and to my two sons for their wonderful voices. Produced and edited by myself.